Welcome into the party on Broad. I am Freddie Burns with Chris Dives here on the Edge of Philly Sports Network. And boy, is it a party today. They reported the camp yesterday, but we had practice today, Dives. They're back. They're back.
Woo!
How are you feeling? First, they're back.
Dude, I've been waiting for this day. I've been waiting for this day for so long, Freddie. Like, their words cannot describe what an unbelievable season, knock on wood, ahead for Philadelphia Eagles fans, man. The hype is 11 out of 10. We've been talking about this day for months. We've covered everything, top to bottom, on this Philadelphia Eagles roster. But today is Overreaction Wednesday. I can't wait to just gush about some of these guys. What did we learn on day one? Probably not a lot in real life. But I'm all in, man. I'd love to overreact.
Well, we certainly will have a ton of fun. And Dives did the liberty of going through Twitter and finding all the top headlines. So we're going to go through a bunch of them. And then at the end, we're going to give a little prediction, maybe a person we think is going to surprise, make the roster, maybe start, and maybe a surprise guy you expected to make the roster that we think is going to get cut. So there's so much stuff going on. I'm going to kick this off with Brandon Lee Gowton because I think it's kind of gives an encompass, a full look at kind of what training camp is, especially on day one. And down here at the bottom he says, per Brandon Lee, it very much looks like the first day of practice here at Eagles. Training hasn't been crisp. Pre-snap penalties, Sirianni yelling a lot. This is all expected stuff. And it's just this happens this is what's going to happen in the beginning of training camp. It's going to be a mess. The first preseason game is going to be a mess. It's going to be mess. But that's the fun of it, right, Chris?
No surprise here. Defense is always ahead of offense on the first just dreadful days of training camp. The thing here is Nick Sirianni tearing into the players already, setting the tone on day freaking one. I mean, what an unbelievable guy. Like, that's what I love to read about this one is that Nick Sirianni just gets it, man. He just gets, that confidence he instills in his players, that moxie, all of that, man. Setting the tone, sending a message on day one, ripping into players. I just love it so much.
And another intriguing thing about him setting the tone is because that's what we heard his first year here. And what I loved, oh my God, they would talk about he'd be running the routes with the receivers up in their faces, showing them all that stuff. Well, I think that's very important for him to set that tone for the new assistant coaches as well. Because we have a ton of new coaches here. So they need to understand, hey, we're not to just tell them what to do, sit back and take our notes. We're up in their face. We're going to explain to them when they're wrong and give them a thumbs up or a pat on the butt when they're right.
That's such a great comment, Freddie, because if you look top to bottom, what's the biggest red flag, if you want to call it that? What's the biggest weakness of this this roster? It is the new assistant coaches, the new coordinators. And I just love it because, setting the tone from day one, setting the bar here, Nick Sirianni is leading the way, brother. I love it.
We're going to stay with Brandon Lee Gowton, and we're going to go into it. There's a right guard battle going on between Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens, who's supposed to be coming in for Kelsey, but Kelsey's still here, so we kind of got a mess here. And Sirianni comes out and says that Cam Jurgens is the first guy up right now, and he was that through OTAs. So no big surprise here. But I think you were leaning Steen. Not that you were fully leaning Steen. No, you were the other way?
No, that was Shane. Yeah.
So you're no Steen, Steen doesn't have any real experience on the inside anyway, which is a point I think you have to bring up. So why wouldn't it be Cam Jurgens first up here?
All right, so first of all, I think Jurgens has an in with Jason Kelsey. Those two are brothers. Jason Kelsey was a big part of the drafting of Cam Jurgens. I think it would look bad on Howie to have such a high pick, not even get on the field in year two. That would be a little questionable. Like, I think we forget that. Like, Jurgens was, had a really good combine. His athletic numbers are off the charts. We saw him actually be better as a center prospect than Jason Kelce and broke his record in the 40-yard dash of 4.92. That was the best number since Jason Kelce's in 2011, which was a 4.89. So for me, Jurgens it gets the nod to start, but I don't think this position is anywhere near solidified. I think Tyler Steen is the real deal. The only thing that puts me Cam Jurgens over Tyler Steen at this moment is that Tyler Steen has versatility. He has the versatility to play tackle, move inside. Jurgens doesn't really have that. And I think the Eagles prefer to have a guy like a Tyler Steen to, kind of plug in as needed as the season progresses. But for now, I'm not surprised. I am a Jurgens guy.
Not to mention Tyler Steen has never played on the inside, so he has to learn the position. He's an outside guy at the college level. He used to be a tight end even, I think, or a defensive lineman. Lineman.
He's a great athlete, but he's moving inside because of his arm length and things like that.
Small arms. But here's an interesting thing to think about, though. Jason Kelce's not going to be practicing through training camp a lot either. So who's going to play center? Are they going to put Cam Jurgens at center? Or are they going to put who would be the other guy? Brett Toth, I guess, to play center? Who's your other guy there? So there is going to be time for Steen to get reps, is my point.
Yeah, I think you'll see Cam Jurgens play center in the preseason games. And I think this is exactly what the Eagles are all about on the defensive line, in the secondary, on defense. They love these like positionless kind of guys that can fill in as needed. And I think that's a great point. I didn't even think about that until now. But I would expect Jurgens to play at center and dominate in the preseason like we saw last year. And then, we should be able to see Steen get a fair amount of snaps. So, I think competition is great for everyone. And I think Tyler Steen is right there, man. The question is, do the Eagles go with more of a long-term answer at right guard from the jump? Either way, the Eagles are in a great position given how much Lane Johnson is just dominating on an island week after week after week. It shouldn't be bad. I mean, there could be some like false start issues, communication issues. I mean, as dominant as the Eagles' offensive line was last year, they were among the tops in penalties. So I don't even think it's that much of a negative.
Offensive line versatility and depth. And thank you, Andy Reid, for bringing that to the organization. Now let's move to the quarterback. And shout out to Elliott Shore-Parks, who's the first guy ever to start tracking the quarterback's throws and giving them accuracy numbers in training camp. It actually annoyed the hell out of me when Wentz was here. I'm like, dude, they throw interceptions on purpose sometimes just to see different stuff. Like, you can't track this. But anyhow, he does. And per Elliott Shore-Parks, today, Jalen Hurts goes 6 of 10, 2 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. Pretty good day. Lots of good PBUs, which I think are pass blocks.
Passes batted.
Yeah, passes batted, which I don't know how that's a good thing, actually. And quarterback runs. How you feel? Hurts, it's a big question mark, not question mark for him. His hard work is always there, but he had such a great year last year, such a flawless year. It almost, to me, feels like he has to take a few steps backwards just because of the law of averages. Not that he's going to be a bad quarterback or anything like that, but how can he get any better from what he was last year?
Gosh, I mean, that's a hard one. I think at times he was a little reckless attacking downfield, for better or worse. There were times when he kind of just threw some lob balls and kind of got lucky on it on most of those accounts, whether they were dropped or underthrown or whatever. But there's definitely progress for Jalen Hurts to show on those possessions. I think in 12 personnel, I think the Eagles actually could get a lot better. They were dominant in 11 personnel, but with 2 tight ends, their offensive efficiency numbers weren't that great. I think even on, third and longs, Jalen Hurts can improve. I mean, all of these were massive improvements compared to 2020 to 2021. At the end of the day, though, like a natural step back is not a bad thing. We're talking about a guy going from number 2 in the runner-up MVP to, being maybe a number 5 quarterback in the NFL. Like, I think for me personally, he's my number 3 in the NFL. But like, he is what he does intangible wise, what he is work ethic wise, how he can, rally the troops, be a leader on and off the field is the immeasurable things that is so impressive about Jalen Hurts, which makes me, circling back, never to bet against this guy in terms of taking a step back. Never. This guy is all about efficiency and living in the moment. And I will never bet against this guy again because I was dead wrong on him.
Yeah, me as well. I don't think we bet against his work ethic. We just I mean, no one saw. You could have saw a progression last year. If you saw from where he was that Tampa game to MVP of the league, you were lying. That was just all heart. So yeah, his work ethic has always been there.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
His numbers, like in the intermediate range, downfield, just unbelievable. For like Jalen Hurts is like the outlier for a quarterback that can go from here to here when it comes to accuracy and just dominating inside the pocket, going from a raw prospect and taking that next level as a guy inside the pocket that can really beat you on all 3 levels, man. It was just unbelievable. And I agree. It is a little unfair to have the same expectations. But again, I am not betting on Jalen Hurts to take a step back. I think he's too good of a human being, too good of a leader to let that happen.
Heck no. Not getting fooled twice. Pat Bernard checking in. What's up, Pat? Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights checking in. Yo, thank you everyone for listening. Please like that like button, smash that subscribe button, and share our stuff out. We really appreciate the support. Hurts even more further after day 1. Raise the standard. If you fail forward. It's about finding that identity of this team, already turning the page, saying this is a new team, and we have to find a new identity for this squad. Gotta love Jalen Hurts. And he declined that Netflix show Quarterbacks, which I absolutely love, because to me, that tells me and I'm not saying the other quarterbacks are about this, but he's so laser focused on what he wants to do that he doesn't got time for that nonsense in his mind. So shout out to him there. Let's move over to the defense, and we'll start with Martin Frank here. Don't go crazy. Warrior had a sack on Hurts today. We'll get more to the rest of the D-line as Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Milton Davis, first team reps at D-tackle, Nakobe Dean at linebacker, Reed Blankenship, and Terrell Edmonds at safety. First, I want to go with your guy, Milton Williams, first team reps at defensive tackle. You're all over it, guys. I'm not a believer, but I might have to. First team reps here.
Yeah, I mean, Milton Williams was one of my breakout guys. We did a show, what was that, Monday night, and he was my number 1 guy to watch at training camp. What Milton Williams gives you is exactly what you need, and that's run defense, run support. And he was among the top of the list. If you, for better or worse, look at those PFF grades and how heavy you want to weigh them, that's up for debate. But he was among the league best when it comes to stopping the run. And you look at the loss of Hargrave, you look at the loss of a lot of other guys like Sue and Joseph and things like that. Like Milton Williams definitely has a path to make a big impact in 2023. I don't necessarily buy the Jordan Davis being listed number 1. I think the Eagles are going to treat this trio just like they are going to treat the Eagles at running back. I think we're going to see a fair balance. I think Javon Hargrave played 65% of the snaps. I think it's going to depend on matchups, of course, just like running back. And I think we're going to see a much more balanced rotation of interior defensive linemen for the Eagles this year. Jordan Davis, I don't even think he plays 50% of the snaps this year. I think they're going to slowly ramp him up, which will allow Milton Williams to kind of make an impact. I'm really high on Milton Williams, and I think possibly Eagles fans are sleeping on him because he did show a lot of flashes in the small amount of times he played.
I certainly was, and I'm starting to wake up now, guys. I'm waking up a little bit. Jordan Davis, I agree with you. He's mainly a run stopper. He's not going to get all the sack numbers you want. You clearly saw at one point in the season, teams were averaging 5.2 yards per carry. When he came in, it dropped to like 4.3, I think it was. Going off memory there, so don't quote me there. Definitely, but it's all about rotation. This defensive line, that is what they do. One guy I do want to pull from this, I think Terrell Edmonds is going to end up your starting safety, no doubt. He's got some experience here in the league. The Eagles are pretty good at picking out those free agent safeties too. They've had success there. That's a definite. Also on the defensive line, Nolan Smith got some first team reps as well. Giving BG a break. Reddick did not practice today, but exciting stuff coming from Nolan Smith. He's got that dog mentality. You can gush on him a little bit. How you feeling about Nolan? Day one, first team reps.
I'm so excited, man. Listen, I can't believe he fell to the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Let's get real here. And this is, again, Overreaction Wednesday. And I hope I'm wrong about this, but I don't know how much Nolan Smith plays in 2023. I think he's in a great situation. He's in a situation where he's never going to get chipped. He's never going to get doubled. In his first year here with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Eagles have so much depth, how they rotate on the defensive line. I mean, you got to think, like, the more Nolan Smith plays, the less Hassan Reddick plays. At the end of the day, though, like, I really hope we see the Eagles get creative with this guy. I think I prefer him as an edge defender in five-man fronts, but I would like to see maybe the Eagles even get crazy with maybe Reddick and Nolan Smith on the defense at one single moment. But you have to also consider, if they do that, one of them has to drop back in coverage, which makes me a little nervous at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, like, taking advantage of his athletic profile, which is as elite as it gets, is really exciting.
He's definitely got a protege in Reddick to follow because they fit the same kind of skill set as far as that goes. So that's going to be, regardless of how he pans out this season, I think it's very cool that he has Reddick to lean on.
I want to see how Nolan Smith looks against the run. His numbers against the run were outrageous in college. And I don't necessarily know how much to buy that, given his height, size, and everything. I get the
defense overall. Georgia's defensive line is just stacked. So he was almost getting free passes to the running back.
So I want to see how he sheds blocks. I want to see how he consistently beats his man to the spots and fills those gaps. That's what I'm looking for from Nolan Smith.
So let's move to linebacker. Per Tim McManus, the first linebacker pairing was Nakobe Dean and Nicholas Morrow. No surprise there, with Christian Ellis rotating in for Morrow. And then he adds, as you can see scrolling at the bottom here, Ellis picked up where he left off this spring, intercepting Marcus Mariota near the goal line. He's certainly pushing for a role. Any surprises here?
No, not really. I think the takeaway here is expect a lot more playmaking from the Eagles linebackers. We didn't get a lot of sample size from Nakobe Dean in 2022. You look at that, week 13 game against the Tennessee Titans. He was outstanding. I thought he was very good. And I made a video on it. Go check it out. But
Mr. Crockpot, follow him now. Notification.
But Nakobe Dean, how many snaps did he play last year? He's got to be the breakout candidate, the most improved player of 2023 across the entire NFL. If you go back to his Georgia days, the amount of sacks, the amount of interceptions, his coverage ability, the passer rating allowed are all off the charts. The Eagles haven't had a playmaking linebacker like that can do those things in a long, long time. So listen, I'm trying to not drink the Kool-Aid on this one, but I think if I had a crystal ball, I think the memories of TJ Edwards are long gone. I think Eagles fans are going to gush about this guy and get really excited.
He certainly has the mindset for it. He was the quarterback of the great Georgia defense that won the first championship. And in the OTAs, he was the quarterback. He had the helmet with the mic in there, the quarterback of the Eagles. But if you need a quarterback to go on a trip to go see the Eagles, I got the quarterback for you, and that's phillysportstrips.com. Check it out here. I'm sharing the screen. They got a trip going to Pittsburgh July 28th. It's sold out this weekend, 2 days. Next one coming up, San Diego, to go see the Padres and the Phillies. They got everything for the Eagles, whether it's a home game, trip to New England, Tampa, L.A., a bus to the Jets. They got the Union. They even, get this, if you're listening to us, you're not in the Philadelphia area, they got a Birds Fly home package. Check this thing out, okay? If you're in another area, you can, compliments of Philly Sports Trips, book a trip now, and they'll send you here to Philadelphia like it's a travel pass, like you're going to visit a game, and then you go see the Eagles play the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, all-inclusive tailgate, former players, local legends. Go to phillysportstrips.com and book a trip today. Philly Sports Trips, it's where it's at. Moving on.
I'll be down there in Tampa.
Yes, you are. That's awesome. I was down there, Nick Foles versus, who's that guy? Matt Glennon.
Oh my God.
Oh man, we won. We won. And it was Andy Reid, Nick Foles too. So it wasn't like the Foles we've come to know and love, but I'm pretty sure it was Foles. It was definitely Matt Glennon. But great, it's beautiful down there, dude. Was
it Kevin Cobb or no?
I don't think so. I would remember that. Yeah. That's a little that I think it was 4-string Foles, honestly, because all the injuries were happening. We weren't really too excited for the trip. Okay. But great time down there. Go to phillysportstrips.com. Book that trip today. Let's move on to what position do we got left? Oh, big news today out of the running back camp, and a couple different people in the Philly sports media with, news with that. And we'll start with Jimmy Kempski, who says the top 4 running backs all had their moments today. McManus starts off with DeAndre Swift, was deployed in a variety of ways, from lining up outside to motioning into the slot out of the backfield. He was primarily a pass catcher, which is his strength. Kick it off with DeAndre Swift.
Oh, my God, man. How exciting is this? Yeah, Swift is the take there. This is what I expected. I expect the Eagles to have a very balanced attack with their backfield to start the season. Kenny Gainwell, most notably, and Penny as well. But DeAndre Swift is the ticket, man. What he gives you as a receiver, what he gives you in pass protection, man. The Eagles haven't had a guy like that coming off of Miles Sanders. I don't want to make this a Miles Sanders show. Everybody watching this show knows my take on Miles Sanders. Overrated. But what he gives you in the slot, what he gives you, as a pass protector, his explosiveness, the ability to hit the hole rather than dance in the backfield is going to be incredibly exciting. He's averaged over 50 catches per season the last 3 years. His 156 receptions are 5th most in the NFL among running backs in that span, man. Just a massive upgrade, especially in the passing game, which we didn't really see a lot with Miles Sanders because, to be honest, that wasn't his strength. And he's only got 6 fumbles on 520 career touches. That ranks him 4. And actually, PFF ranked him 4th best among running backs in pass protection in 2022, man. I don't think Swift is going to dominate the ball in this offense, at least not yet, because I think they're going to rotate that heavily based on matchups. But I think Swift is going to be your guy come December when the Eagles are going to rely on him heavily as a playmaker. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, Swift, I think the past 5 years, the catches out of the backfield, I think he was 5th, right? It was Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara. He was right behind Aaron Jones. I think he had 158. I forget what it was, but pass catching is definitely his strength. But pass protection, to your point, is the key, man, especially with Jalen Hurts and the health of Hurts. We've year after year, that's all the great Eagles backs have always been all able to pass protect. Westbrook was great at that. Deuce was great at that. And it's I'm very excited for that.
I do think the Eagles are going to kind of have a running back by committee, first half of the season. I think they're going to pass the baton week to week. The Eagles aren't stupid. Nick Sirianni isn't stupid. They're going to save these guys, Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift, their ability to get yards after contact is among the tops in the NFL. Miles Sanders, not that guy. So the potential is there. Keeping them healthy is key. So I expect the Eagles to keep these guys fresh and have a kind of a low, very low touches for Swift, Penny, Gainwell to ramp up until they ramp up during the regular season. I think Kenny G is a guy that could get a lot of touches to start the season. That's my prediction.
McManus also adds Swift, Penny, Gainwell, Scott, and Sermon all split time at running back. To your point, a couple quotes from Kemsky that don't fit in the box. Rashard Penny got some goal line carries, and while there's only so much you can tell from a physicality perspective when the pads aren't on, you could still see some explosiveness there. Kenny Gainwell had a carry off left tackle, made a nice spin. We know what Gainwell is. Well, we don't fully know what Gainwell is, but one of the plays of the day, Boston Scott juked undrafted rookie Eli Ricks out of his apparently. Eli Ricks, welcome to the NFL, baby.
Exactly.
Got him.
I have that memory of like when Embiid was playing with Mo Bamba his rookie year. There was a video of him, those two going back and forth. Mo Bamba's rookie year, and Embiid just dunked over him and said, Welcome to the NBA, and there's some swear words with that. That's how I view that.
Well, he got juked out of his ankles, and he could have had a workers' compensation claim if he got injured. Unfortunately, we got the guy for you, and that, my friend, is David R. Cherry, Esquire, at www.cherryinjurylaw.com. Workers' compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. Call him now, 610-565-0300. He will take care of you, no doubt about that. Furthermore, on the running backs, I agree with you. It's going to be by committee, no doubt about it. I mean, that's all the Eagles have done. I know Miles Sanders got the bulk of the carry, but you always had them Gainwell carries sprinkled in, those Boston Scott carries sprinkled in. It's just the way to go. It's the position. Yeah. There's no need to pay for a running back. You just evenly spread them out and then bring new ones in. You brought up a name, and I don't know if maybe it's your surprise. So let's. I think maybe it was. Is Kennedy Brooks your surprise? Because I don't want to
surprise cut or surprise make.
Either one. No.
No.
All right. Then can you talk about Kennedy Brooks? You were saying talking about he might be a surprise here. I know he played with Hurts in college a little bit. Didn't you just say that at the beginning, or I hear you wrong?
No, I don't think so. Not Kennedy Brooks. I'm definitely out on Kennedy Brooks.
Who did you say then? There was someone you said running back wise that was going to be surprised. On my fault, Dives. I heard you wrong there.
Who knows? I don't know.
Perfect time to get tickets from Sherry's Tickets.com. Go to Sherry's Ticket Town. Philly saves big with great prices, no hidden fees. Sports, concerts, theaters, www.sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Seriously, you compare it to the other companies out there, there's no fee. If you add in their fees, They're the best. And then you save another 10%. Pop in that promo code EOP10. Now let's get to our surprise cuts and surprise keeps. And I'll kick it off with my surprise cut.
Okay.
I'm going to the running back position. And sadly, I think we're going to be saying goodbye to Boston Scott.
Wow. Okay.
The majority of his carries have been against 8-man front. We've used him in that fashion. Now, we may be able to bring him back on the practice squad, and he'll come back. But I really think with this running back room, barring health, obviously, of Swift and Penny, and then you're obviously going to keep Gainwell, I think you can use Penny and Swift in the same role you would have used Boston Scott. And also, the kick returner position, which he's also used for, is becoming obsolete with the new rule that you can now fair catch it anywhere and automatically get it to the 25-yard line. There's literally going to be no reason to return a kickoff, and in 2 years, there probably won't be kickoffs. So my cut is sadly the giant killer, Boston Scott.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that. I mean, Nick Sirianni loves Trey Sermon. I think it's pretty evident. I like it. I like it. I mean, he's definitely on the fringe. I have him making my 53-man roster right now, but that's an interesting take. My surprise guy to watch out for is Dan Arnold, a tight end here. He's 6'6", 240 pounds. I don't buy the Grant Calcaterra thing. I just don't. I know they used a draft pick on him. It didn't stop them before from making the cut, a necessary cut. He's got an injury history, but like I said, going back to, I think this is the guy I was referring to. Going back to the start of the show, the Eagles need to improve in 12 personnel. They were not very good with 2 wide receivers and 2 tight ends. And you got Jack Stoll. The Eagles love to run the football. He's going to make the roster. Outside of that, after Goddard, of course, is pretty wide open. I mean, Tyree Jackson had a big day here on day one as well. I think it's anybody's game. But Dan Arnold is, again, more of a receiver than he is a blocker. He's a guy that can really help the Eagles in 12 personnel. He's a guy that has the height to dominate on third downs in the red zone as a red zone target. So for me, Dan Arnold, surprise making the roster.
I like it. He was a breakout guy on fringe, like sleeper fantasy guys a few years back.
Really?
Yeah, like people thought he was going to like jump, and he just didn't. But he's been around, and he's a veteran. Great call there. I'm with you. Now let's move to that was your surprise get. So I'll do my surprise get then. We talked about him earlier. He was on the practice squad last year, got elevated. I think Christian Ellis not only makes this team, but is a starter on this team. 6'3", 230 pounds. I know Morrow led the Bears in tackles last year, but I really think this guy's going to take the next step and move it up. He was awesome on special teams as well. Christian Ellis is my definite roster make and potential starter at linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. Surprise cut is a guy that I think people have kind of given him way too much freedom to make this roster. And I haven't said anything here, but I will now. And it kind of goes hand in hand with surprise get is Britton Covey. A lot of people think he's locked to make the roster as a punt returner and as that like 5th wide receiver. They just brought in Deon Cain, who had a sensational camp with the Eagles last year. And surprise, surprise, was dominant as a returner this past year in 2022 with the USFL. So this guy has big-time returner potential, great hands. I don't think it's a lock that we could maybe see Deon Cain give the Eagles a bigger advantage on special teams than Britton Covey.
Well, Deon Cain gave him a run for his money last year because initially Covey was cut and then brought back. And I think the big thing So I was so happy he made it, but I was so underwhelmed throughout the season. Now, if you look at the averages, I think he was top 3 per return. And I think you put that out, top 3 in yards, average yards. You put that out, actually. I tweeted under it, Reno Mahe. Like, we watched that year after year. Yeah, he gets 7, but he's never going to make the big play. And maybe that's all the Eagles want from him. But the main takeaway, why I think you're spot on here, is they can't use him as a receiver in the offense. They would cut him every week and then bring him up on game day just to be the return man. What's he, a slot guy? He can't even, he gets leveled every time he catches it. Deon Cain could give you that as well as play the 5th receiver role. So I totally agree. Great point.
I think Deon Cain can give you more outside, inside versatility as a receiver. I think he can give you probably the same impact as a returner. And the Covey thing is interesting. Like, I literally read a publication that had Covey as the 3rd best returner in the NFL. And that was literally this week. And you look at his stats, like after week 10 through the playoffs, like he was like number 4, number 5 or something in average as a kick returner. Like he was pretty good. And he did have a big return in the Super Bowl. You can't discredit that.
27 yards.
I think we're overreacting. And I think that they could easily replace him.
Agreed. All right, well, that's it for this show. Day 1 of training camp's over. Eagles are back. What you got everything going on there, son. Go follow Dives right now at Mr. Crockpot. He's going to tell you some stuff now, but you're not even going to be able to keep up. Hit notifications and just educate yourself. Dives, what you got going on now?
My goodness. So Ryan is recovering from surgery, so I'm not sure we're going to be doing an NFL draft show this week. We will see. It depends on how he's feeling towards the end of the week. But we've done a ton of draft coverage for the 2024 NFL draft. Positions, top players in the conferences. I did a top 5 video last weekend on my Under the Radar dudes. We're pushing out our top 50. We've only got 2 more series to go to round out the top 50. I have my top 10 non-Power 5 prospects to watch. That'll be coming out this weekend. And shortly after that, we will be starting a series on the NHL draft, going over top prospects for the Flyers in the 2024 NHL draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to look out for that. And of course, all the Eagles content on Birds of the Round Table and things like that. It's officially Eagles season, man. It's Christmas in July, right?
It is. It's the day after. But yes, it is Christmas in July. You can find me at Freddie Burns _. I'm on Party on Broad every week, just about every week at 6 o'clock. We got some exciting stuff in season coming out. We're gonna have a fantasy draft between. It's gonna be exciting. We're gonna pick a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver or tight end. It's gonna be snake draft style, and we're gonna keep score every week. We're gonna have a new draft, so that's gonna be exciting to keep score weekly. You can catch me on Edge of Philly Sports tonight, 8:30 p.m. Me, Al, and Joe. And follow me on Twitter at Freddie Burns _. That's basically where I'm active. I'm probably tweeting something ridiculous. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong. Bryce Harper should be the first baseman forever for the Phillies. That's my newest take. But, yeah, catch me there. And stay tuned. In about 20 minutes, Philly Press Box will be up next. They'll be talking Eagles training camp. And they have special guest Tom Moore from the Bucks County Times to talk.
I've had Tom on the show a couple times. He's amazing. He's just the nicest guy ever. He's a great guest.
Even more of a reason to tune in, send some comments, like and share. Check out Tom Moore and Bill and Chet. But that's it for this week. We'll be back next week, 6 p.m. I'll be probably coming from the beach. I think I'll be live from the beach. We'll see if we get the view and the Wi-Fi going. Guys, Rob will be back. And hopefully the health of Ryan gets better. So we'll see you guys next week. Go Birds.